And all right, everybody, thank you for joining us for another edition of the AWS Blogger. Here today, I have an interactive podcast with AWS Chief Evangelist Jeff Barr. Jeff and I have become good friends over the upcoming months, and we love doing these and putting them together. And I'm not going to waste any time. I want to get right to it. So I think it's time to bring Jeff in here. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great, John. I'm super happy to be here, and I'm loving all this awesome tech that we are learning how to use and to connect and to do really awesome video. The amount of complexity and the number of streams going back and forth here is kind of stunning, and we'll chat about that later, but it's totally cool what we can do here with all this tech.
I know. Actually, we're going to save probably most of the entire live stream to talk about our streaming setup. Also, some of the things you are doing for reInvent, roadmap items, maybe streams that you're working on. We definitely, you and I haven't gotten together probably in the last 2-3 months. We've been really super busy getting things situated, doing multiple streams and setup. I mean,
we have been. I think we've learned a lot in the process and become. I never want to call myself an expert at anything, but I feel very comfortable with all of this and being able to do really worthwhile things. And to me, we use this phrase raising the bar a lot at Amazon. And to me, raising the bar is all about we're doing something at some level. It's okay, but we can always aspire to something even better. And I think we've been both raising the bar on what we're able to do with video production here.
I completely agree with you on that one. Actually, I have to jump into it a little bit. You got me turned on to obs.ninja. It was something you did for the community day in Australia?
I think so.
And you put together, I connected with somebody that did that out there, and I absolutely love the product. I talked with the guy who developed it and worked with him left and right, and also working with him on some of the audio that you see here today. That you're going to listen to, maybe the video that you do, the quality, and he's a really cool guy, and I've learned so much using this tool.
It reminds me of back in, I hate to say this, 1980 something, when I was first learning Unix, and there was a paragraph in one of the original documents that talked about the value of Unix pipes and how you make a tool that does one job really well, and you pipe into the next tool that does its job really well, and so forth and so on. I think we've got the best of that here, and now the pipes are network connections, and they're carrying video and audio rather than carrying plain text. But the concept is the same, and all these amazing pieces of tech that are developed somewhat independently, but in a cooperative way that can really create a lot of power.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Now, real quick, I'd like to recap. I mean, you and I talked, I believe it was July 22nd. In fact, I have to step back a little bit further and realize that I had this really awesome live stream planned. You and I, it was going to be our first one-on-one. It was probably 2 days after your birthday. And I had a cool GIF all set up, a real interaction and playing. And then all of a sudden, we couldn't get anything to work. In fact, I was live streaming the issue and didn't realize it. And I got so many compliments of like, man, I would have been so frustrated and upset. But you and I were troubleshooting it live during that hour and trying to figure things out. And the best thing that we did was postpone it like 2 weeks. And I think that turned out great.
It did. Yeah, it did. And you know what? Everybody is understanding when tech doesn't work. And it almost adds a bit of realism of the fact that people know it's live, and then they know that just like them, you and I are doing our best to understand and get control of all this cool new tech.
Now, that's very true. In fact, we talked about a lot of things. We had a fun, birthday gift that I also did for you, but we were talking, and it wasn't even planned. We came across talking about 3D printing, and a part that I was looking for my camper. I had like something by the doorway, and I wanted to change some of the aesthetics and make it look a little bit better and close. And something that you and I were working on talking about is I actually put together a diagram for you to see if you can print this out on your 3D printer. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
All right, Jeff, I'm gonna pass this off to you.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay. I got the diagram. So let me show you the steps that what we have to do here is I've actually got my 3D modeler running on my other computer. So here's we've got, let me do one more switch here. I've got this modeled here in, so this is a program called Tinkercad. And the idea with Tinkercad is we designed the part. So there's the part. And I did this using your dimensions. And from there, now let me switch over. Once we have the design, the next step is you go to this program called a slicer. And the slicer takes it from this generic geometry into, takes it into the slicing command to drive the printer. So here's this really cool program called Crucial Slicer. You can see with Crucial Slicer, I can put it down on the printer. I tell it what kind of material I'm printing with and print from there. And the next step is actually print. So let's go to the printer.
Oh, that's really cool, Jeff. I like that. That's nice.
Running the printer there at super high speed. Now, depending on the settings, this can actually, I think it took about 4 hours to print because I set a really high quality print for it. And you can see that go. I have to say that watching 3D printers is actually hypnotic. You have to be very careful not to watch them too much.
So that's actually interesting, and the quality, the thickness that you can do of it. And you and I were talking about it, about doing one at 20%, one at 40%. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. Is my audio still coming through?
Yeah, your audio is great. They suggested my audio levels be adjusted, so I changed my audio.
Okay, I was getting a little bit of echo, so I turned a volume down here.
How about now? Are you still getting that echo?
Let me say, I actually am.
You are a little bit. Okay, go ahead, and I'll make some adjustments on my end. Don't worry about it, and we'll keep going.
Okay. All right, well, everything is all printed and ready to go. Okay, here's my studio camera. All right. When we talk about realism, in addition to my really polished hero camera with my green screen and everything, I set up a second camera just so people can get the behind the scenes look, which doesn't look nearly as polished as the actual camera look, right? So we go to here. So this is the made for TV cool factor, but behind the scenes, it just kind of looks like that with lots of stuff everywhere. Right. Okay, John, your part is all set to go. Oh, actually, I need to do one quick adjustment. So after it prints, there's a little bit of excess here called support because it's built from the bottom on up. You need to make sure that the filament as it goes across actually doesn't just drop because it's still liquid when it comes across. So there's this little kind of fuzzy part that is automatically inserted by the slicing program called the support. So it's just kind of made to be removed here. I'm just going to pop that out so it's ready to go. And so here's your part.
Oh, awesome. All right. So Jeff, thanks so much. I've got this nice little box here. Guys, I made another audio adjustment. Please let me know if you're having any issues. Jeff, you just the same. Let me know if something's not as loud or I need to be a little bit louder. I can always shout. You know what? I'll change that a level. I'll adjust you a little bit there. Okay, there we go. Made a couple more adjustments. Jeff and I are going to talk about our streaming setup here just shortly and some of the things that we're doing and improving upon. And any feedback that you have, please drop into the comments. I really want to know if the quality is coming across. I'm making these adjustments live to make sure, you know, it's really hard to test maybe by yourself or one-on-one. So any feedback, please let me know. Rob, I see that you're on there. I always like hearing from you. Please, definitely some feedback. All right, so I got this box here, Jeff. This is awesome. By the way, I think that was about 30-second Amazon Prime, much faster than my 60-second Amazon Prime.
That's the super deluxe one.
Yeah. Was this the Prime Air drop?
I think it was Prime Teleport.
Teleport. All right, nice. I got there. I'm going to quick test before I show everybody. Let me test. All right, so I got this box here. Oh. Audio sounds great here on the live stream on YouTube. So I really like that. I think I found the spot. All right, let's open this up. Jeff, I have a 10% one that you sent. And if everybody can see, it looks like honeycombs here. It's not completely filled in, but this was the test part he did. The very first one Jeff made for me was this for a black, right, Jeff? You made this the test, and then I got you the actual color that was needed of my camper. So that's a pretty cool part. Here's one that's 20%.
Yeah, so this number that we're referring to is something called Infill, and the partially printed item there, the Infill is basically an interior structure, and when I run my slicing program, I can give it a percentage of Infill. The higher the Infill, the more plastic it's going to use, the heavier it's going to be, the longer it's going to take to print, and the stronger it will be. And so one of the interesting things you start to learn as you're doing 3D printing is when you're in your iterating prototype phase and you want to make sure that your measurements are right and your design is good, you set that Infill really low so you get intermediate results quickly and without burning through too much plastic. And then at the point when you say, okay, now I've got a part that is actually ready for production, you leave the design the same because you've set the exterior dimensions. Then you simply crank up that Infill to whatever number you think is going to make it strong enough. There are different styles of Infill, and then the different materials, like printing with PLA, or this one is a material called ASA. They have different levels of strength, but even 10% in a lot of situations seems to be very strong. It's very respectably strong.
Yeah, here's a 10% one. Though actually, I didn't know that, and I think it kind of makes sense that you should really do it at a low quality at first to see how it comes out. That way you're not using as much filament for it, and you can kind of see how it starts printing. Now, quick question for you. This is missing the part for it. Was that by design to see how well it's turning out?
This was a quick step. And honestly, what happened is I started to print it and realized that I hadn't actually enabled supports. And then I at a certain point, it was not going to be able to put that opened up section.
Oh, okay.
The print partway through. Again, once you start watching this, it's totally hypnotic. And so I was just watching it just go back and forth. It's like, oh, stop! I need to go and reslice it with those supports in place. But it's an absolutely fascinating technology that I started on only for fun, and it very quickly went from this is a fun thing to I'm doing useful things around the house, from little containers and holders and brackets to I had this fun situation where we were doing some work on the house, and the gas contractor drilled a hole through the side of the house and ran a gas pipe through. He hadn't yet finished it. I looked at that and I said, you know what? I can design a really nice little fitting that just goes over this and nicely covers up the hole. I printed it, put it in there. My contractor came through. He's like, Jeff, that's a work of art. It's like, wow, okay. I'm just getting started here. But to me, the fun thing is, like a lot of great tech, it's being empowered to solve your own problems. And if my children were still young and at home, I would love for them to have a 3D printer. And then when they're like, hey, we got this issue here, we need one of these. It's like, okay, great. Let's pull out the micrometer. Let's do a little bit of sketching and designing, and let's just solve your problem right here in real time for you. Getting that mentality kind of engraved on in your children's brains as we have a challenge, we can solve it right here in the house with a device that makes stuff. That to me seems like an incredibly cool way to be able for our next generation to grow up.
You kind of gave me an idea for Christmas for my son. I would like, but is it really Christmas for him or for me to do? Yeah, I'm not sure. I might be able to get away with it by saying it's for him. Well, don't worry, dear. Don't watch this part of the stream.
It's absolutely really fun tech, and it's empowering. If you can be creative and think of something, you can make it. And I've shied away from making things in the past because usually the idea in my brain is a lot better than the thing that I can envision awesome stuff, but I can't cut things precisely and make them come out the way I thought of them. That is not the case with 3D printing. It comes out just as good when printed as my imagination. And I don't get that that letdown of, oh, it seemed it could be cool, but then I made it, and I can't measure the wood within a quarter inch and cut it properly. So here you measure with the micrometer, you get it within a fraction of an inch, and it makes something that actual size that you wanted. So I feel just more competent than if it was like a wood and a saw and things like that.
So I really like it. I think it's pretty cool what you're able to do with it. Jeff, I made some modifications to this design, and I sent you Tinkercad one. I kind of need some holes. I drilled my own, and I marked up what I don't need on this one and this. So I'm going to send this back to you. Actually, I'll send you the design. If you wouldn't mind probably printing out the next one. I think this one's going to be right on spec for me.
Okay. All right, we will work toward that. That's my next one.
Awesome. I got one more thing in the box here I want to share with everybody, but I want to answer Mike's question. Mike wants to know, what printer are you using?
Oh, okay. I have one called a Prusa Mini, which is it was not expensive. I just wanted to try something really simple. The only interesting challenge with 3D printers is this thing called you have to do leveling to get the actual surface level. And you have to do this very fine adjustment so that the tip of the print head is actually at the exact distance from the printing surface. Those are kind of universal challenges with 3D printing, and it can be a little bit frustrating because you're adjusting in thousandths of an inch at a time, and you have to be a little bit more aggressive with your thousandths than I was. Like I was just turning up a little bit and still not getting everything to come out just right. And once I got it dialed in, I've been really happy with the results. And I'm actually on an internal Slack channel now that some of our colleagues have 10 printers in their house.
No,
I'm not there yet, but I could see situations in life where having 2 might be interesting.
Yeah, I'll work on my first one, and then we'll talk from there. That's actually pretty good. How often do you have to adjust it, Jeff? Do you test it each time you're about to run, or?
Well, at this point, I haven't dialed in, and I haven't made any changes for quite some time. It seems perfect. I know that at certain points, I'm going to have to probably some of the elements do wear out after many hundreds of hours of printing, and I will probably need to replace them and do a little bit of calibration. And it's a matter of gaining confidence that you're doing something right. And I think for too much of my life, I was too much into computers where everything it's on and off, it's digital. There's none of this analog messiness. And 3D printing has made me a little bit more comfortable with messy analog stuff where success is it's okay, good, and better versus just it either is or it isn't. That's been one of my weird kind of personal hangups for a really long time of this analog messiness. I'm like it's like making a piece of toast the exact right color, right? And you're watching it, and suddenly it's just too brown. And 3D printing is almost that same thing when you're trying to get things set up and dialed in. There's analog messiness that can be a little bit different than the nice binary stuff that we get to deal with a lot of the time.
So Jeff, I think, and I posted this into the chat. I think what do you think about getting that video posted of the 3D printer so we can watch it over and over and over and over again and get mesmerized?
Sure, I can do that. Happy to do that. If someone would like something to put them to sleep, then the funny thing is I only decided to do that yesterday morning, and I didn't have any of the right stuff on hand to do it. I didn't have a webcam that I could put downstairs, and I didn't have so I took a security camera and I put different firmware in it to use that as a webcam. I didn't have a stand for it, so I put a bunch of Lego boxes to hold it, and I couldn't find. And my old computer downstairs is this weird. It runs Linux, but then on top of that, I run Windows in a virtual environment. And I couldn't find any webcam software that would work in either environment after like trying to build 10 different things. So I just used this thing called FFmpeg to just directly capture the video. And at a certain point, it's like, how many little hacks can I just cascade here just to get this to work? But part of problem solving is sometimes you want to do the elegant, neat, right way. And sometimes it's just like glop a bunch of stuff together, solve the problem, and just admit to yourself that you're hacking away at it.
I realized that was interesting there. So it's just getting a little feedback, and I'm going to drop that down a little. But that's actually very interesting, all the hacks that you just did for the... I got to show everybody. Jeff, this is awesome. Thank you for this gift here. This print, this is pretty cool. It's going on my desk. Or I think the next time I'm going to bring it and see if I can get a signature on that.
Yeah,
and
we could do that.
This will sit really here. This is the detail and work of it is really, really awesome from the printer.
And this is a low-end printer, and I don't know that I even use the finest settings either. When you do the slicing, you can control the stepping between the levels, and I don't think I did the finest level either. So
no,
these are computers circa 1960, right? All the awesome stuff is still ahead of us with this. Like the basic technology works, but there's still so much interesting ahead. It's a very cool thing to watch.
No, I agree with you. Thank you so much for the gift here. That's going on my desk. I will have to bring it to you for a signature the next time we're allowed to physically meet.
Yeah,
for that one. Actually, speaking of that, that was a perfect segue. Last week, you were about an hour and a half away from me.
I was. It was a really interesting situation, and so my father's aging, unfortunately, as we all do, and he was in an assisted living facility in Phoenix, and because of quarantine, that plays a lot of really bad tricks on people's minds as they age, and he was really just kind of getting confused all the time. So one of my sisters lives in Pennsylvania, not too far from you. She found him a new facility, and we did a ton of paperwork, got all the logistics figured out, and I ended up calling it Operation Bring Dad Home on Twitter. And with a massive amount of coordination, we managed to fly on it last Sunday. We packed him up on a Monday. I guess it was a week ago today. Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah, today's Tuesday. We packed it. We flew on a Tuesday, and we actually, my dad's an Air Force veteran, and we got him an awesome greeting at the airport by some of our colleagues and by an AWS partner. And for the last 5 miles of his ride to his facility, we actually got this awesome group of veterans gave him this motorcycle escort into his facility, and it was super awesome and super touching. You know, when you have dementia, a lot of things don't stick in your brain for very long. But 24 hours afterward, he was still telling me about this amazing group with the flag and all these amazing motorcycles, when oftentimes things that you told him 2 minutes before are unfortunately gone. But yeah, we were kind of close, but not quite close enough. But I'm sure I will be up in that neck of the woods again in the next couple of months, and we will for sure at least be on. We can high five across your lawn or something like that.
Do a live stream from one end of my house to the other, staying within those distance behind the yeah. So Jeff reached out to me and he said, listen, under better circumstances, I would love to do this live, but I think it's just going to be a lot of work. And, you know, it's a really good time for him to just focus on his dad and the whole entire operation. I'm sure it's stressful enough. So I really appreciated you, Jeff, just even reaching out and saying or suggesting it. The next time we can do this, it'd be great to do one it could be a home setting, you know, obviously within the social distance, but it'll be pretty fun and cool. Like we'll have to do some kind of interesting stuff where all of a sudden we're in 2 separate rooms and then bam, we're right there. Like, how did that happen? Yeah. And have a little fun with it.
We have the technology. What was that? There was this show my kids used to watch where all of a sudden it would be, we have the power. I cannot remember what show it was. We have the power, and this big cartoon character would come out. But we have the technology, and we can do it.
I'm searching for that right now for you, Jeff. He-Man.
He-Man, yes. It was an awful show, but I do remember that phrase, we have the power.
Wait a second. I grew up with that show.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, I grew up probably the same age as your kids, just saying. I grew up with the show. Jeff, we are 30 minutes in, and I really want to get to our streaming here. I know you have an awesome setup with it, and you just showed some of your home setup. Let's talk about how things have changed from in the last 6 months. We were all trying to figure this out. I was running stuff off my local laptop, burning things out, not getting to work. I got all kinds of things set up. Now I'm running like dual GoPros with a switcher and thing. Forget me. Let's talk about your setup and some of the things you're doing.
Wow. Okay. So before quarantine, I had been going to the AWS studio in our building called Oscar. I'd been going there once a week to do our What's New videos, and I really enjoyed it. I loved writing the script and going to the studio and working with all our video folks and creating a What's New video that people really like and gave me good feedback on. And a month or so in, I realized everything had changed, but I actually missed doing those videos. And I messaged our video team and I said, what could we do? And they said, Jeff, we got you covered. We will send you some goodies. They sent me the GoPro. They sent me a tripod, a microphone. They sent me the HDMI encoder. Figured out how to use that to start doing our videos. And sometime around there, I also learned about OBS and started plugging this all together. And it actually made me think effectively of PowerPoint. I don't know if you or your audience remembers the time before PowerPoint when you actually had to make genuine 35mm slides for presentations. But it used to be that making slides was actually a big deal, and the turnaround time was actually days up into weeks to go from a design to an actual physical slide. PowerPoint changed all that and suddenly said you can put a bunch of stuff on the screen and flip through that really fast. To me, OBS is the same step forward, where instead of a bunch of mostly static things on screens, OBS says, let's take all these dynamic sources and let's let you bring them together. And to me, it's this awesome tool. And at first, when just streaming from home was good enough, right? That was an awesome thing. Oh, gee, you're sitting in a badly lit room and you've got a messy background and you've got a bunch of weird stuff going on, but okay, you can actually stream from home. That's legit enough. It seems to me in the last 6 months, we should have actually graduated to, we now have all the tech to do something that's, I think, awesome and approaching professional quality. The basic tools are there. And the thing I've been trying to do is, even for internal events and just for a regular chime call, there's no reason not to just set up the green screen and do a background and switch between a couple of things. And partly because you want to get the production quality up, but to me, it's just to get very comfortable with all these things. To make it so it's not a special occasion where you say, oh, gee, I need to do a live video. I need to go and figure out all these special things and make them work. Just if you use them every day for something, you're going to get really comfortable with it. So why not? Why not do that and make something super awesome? And being able to bring in multiple video sources, like I showed you the studio cam, and being able to I'm streaming video when I did where was it? Okay, from the PC. I'm streaming video from the desktop of my PC over into my laptop, and it's like no big deal. You do this with obs.ninja. You get these things set up.
How are you doing that, Jeff? How are you switching? I mean, I know how you're doing it, but how are you switching between their cameras, your screen, and all that? I'm sure people are interested.
There's lots of interesting background here. So a fundamentally important part of OBS is you create these items called scenes, and any scene is basically a visual layout of a whole bunch of different elements. So an element could be a camera, it could be a background image, it could be another video stream, it could be a static image, it could be a sequence of images. So I have multiple different scenes set up in my OBS, and I have a separate little hardware device, which maybe if I go to my other camera here, let me switch to my studio camera. Okay, on my studio camera, let me show you here. There's a little box right here. Let me just move something else out of the way. Okay, this little box here is called a Stream Deck. The Stream Deck is got some really awesome push buttons and displays behind each button.
You're good.
Okay.
Just making some noise.
I see you adjusting something there.
Yeah.
The Stream Deck, using a separate app on my computer, I programmed the Stream Deck so that every time I push a button on it, it switches to a different scene inside of OBS. So I've currently got 9 different scenes set up on my Stream Deck. There's actually a configuration set up so you can have a bunch of different scenes pre-programmed, and you can switch back and forth between those with a push button. So you basically have full control of what your audience sees. Now, to make this even cooler, and we were discussing earlier, once you get into this video, there are an infinite number of really cool gadgets that you can start getting. And my next one I'm getting is so that you don't see my hands. Oops, there we go. There's my Seattle scene. So you don't see my hands. I actually have some foot pedals coming, some Bluetooth foot pedals, so I can actually without, if you can't see my feet, I'll be able to switch scenes and control my teleprompter with my feet.
Whoa, wait a second. Wait, well, hold on. Okay, I was messing around. I was going to put up my green screen here and do some cool stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Step back.
Yeah.
What are these? What?
Okay. When I'm doing the What's New videos, I actually have a teleprompter mounted in front of my camera, and I right now I'm using a Bluetooth keyboard to slowly advance the text on the teleprompter, but it's a little unsightly because the audience can see the keyboard on my desk, and they can see me using the arrow keys to slowly roll the text. So the next step forward is that it's called a I don't know the name, actually. I just ordered it this morning after looking at a couple different options. It's basically a set of 4-foot pedals that when you push them through Bluetooth, they will send keyboard commands, and I'll send them to my phone, which my phone is actually will be in my teleprompter. So I'll literally have like a gas pedal and a brake pedal for my teleprompter. You could think of it as, so I can push down one to advance and the other one to slow down or reverse. And that way I'll be able to control the teleprompter without using my Bluetooth keyboard.
Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm already thinking of my next toy. Yeah. Can you drop a link on that one? I'm gonna have to see how I can get that or expense that one.
Yeah, let me see the one I ordered here. You know, it's like once you start reading reviews, there's an infinite number of different interesting things.
Yes, I can't actually wait to play around with that one a little bit here.
Let me find our stream here. All right, let me find our stream and see how I can actually put that in the chat. Okay. Drop that right there in our chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one looked the best, and I can't speak from personal experience yet, but it's got 4 pedals on there, and I'm looking forward to using that one.
All right. What chat did you drop that in there?
In the YouTube chat.
Okay. All right, I'll see that one. That'll come up there. So yeah, I was playing around here. I was going to get up my green screen real quick because you mentioned something about having chime, and then there's no real reason why you shouldn't throw up the green screen and have a little fun and conversation.
Exactly.
As soon as my new laptop arrives that I can handle OBS locally, right now I'm using awesome powered AWS Workspace. By the way, this thing has handled all my live streams without a single issue. As soon as I can run OBS locally, then I'm going to play around with it a little more and do some of those things.
That is actually really cool, and comes back to what we were chatting about earlier. We always need to think in terms of what can we plug together in interesting ways to solve problems. All these different parts and pieces and tools.
All right, just threw up my green screen there a little bit because don't mind it. I actually haven't mounted above me, but
I just happen to have a slide that shows my local setup if you want to spend a few minutes looking at that.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Jeff, this is all about the live stream and everything.
Yeah, okay.
Dennis is, I'm going to transition over to you. Dennis is saying, what's your teleprompter setup? He was thinking of a phone and an old transparent CD box.
The AWS video team actually sent me a really nice teleprompter. It's called I think it's called from a company called Glide Gear or Glidewell.
Yeah, let me get Jeff. I'm gonna get that out. I have the same one you do. It's actually still in the box, so I apologize. Go ahead, talk about the setup, and I'm gonna make some noise here and crack it open.
Yeah, so basically the teleprompter mounts directly in front of my GoPro, and it has a half silvered mirror at a 45-degree angle. I put my phone inside there. I use an app on my phone. Which app am I using? I'm using a really good app here called, where's my app? Yes, my app is called Elegant Teleprompter. So I load the text into the Elegant Teleprompter. I put that up into the stand of the teleprompter. I pair my Bluetooth keyboard with my phone, and the video producer on the other side, he gives me a countdown. We say go, and I start reading off the teleprompter and making it sound hopefully like I'm actually speaking versus reading. But yeah, old transparent CD box, but definitely we can do better than that.
Jeff, real quick, I'm going to leave your slide up. I'm going to go back to mine real quick here, and I'm just going to show them what it looks like, and then you can talk about your PowerPoint here or your later. So, Dennis, what it's called is this guy right here, Glide Gear. This is really good. It's very efficient. I have an iPad that I bought specifically for it, and it mounts onto a tripod. And it has this glass on it that, yes, these are toys. I have toys. And if you look here, this is the glass that you're going to see. And there's a hood. Here's the glass. And then there's a hood that actually comes back. And this is a tray that comes out and holds this is a tray that comes out and either holds your iPhone or iPad. I used it for a number of occasions. So I can attest that this is probably one of the best ones I have. And then I'm using an app called Teleprompter. And you know, there's a professional version to change it around or share between applications. So
yeah. So one thing you quickly learn with teleprompters is that reading from a teleprompter is one of the hardest skills that I've ever failed to master. It's really tough to be a good reader and get your pace correct, and to not get confused in the middle of a sentence because you didn't read ahead far enough, and to run things at the right speed. It's very easy to criticize people for using a teleprompter. Try it once and figure out that it's actually really hard, is the lesson I've learned here.
Jeff, you were telling me about a time where that you were realizing with your teleprompter. Now, I have to step back here a second. I did a teleprompter one for DRTV News, Deep Racer TV News, and I was messing around with it, and I realized that you control the speed. And just like you said during our last stream, you were realizing, I guess, they were going faster only because you were going faster. And if you would have slowed down, they would have slowed down, and you can control the speed and everything, correct?
That's exactly right. So in a studio situation, what happens is you prepare your content, and then there's an operator who loads that onto the teleprompter, and they are there to serve the speaker. So they are supposed to be just rolling the text at the speed of the speaker. But it's very difficult, at least it was for me, to realize that I was the one in control and not them. And when you see the text scrolling, you naturally think I'd better speed up before it actually disappears and I'm going to miss it, which means that then the operator starts spinning it even faster, which leads to this progression of faster and faster. So what I've found is that being able to control that speed on my own lets me go a little bit more slowly, and it also avoids that weird feedback loop of making me go too fast. So, but it's a hard skill. It's one of the more difficult things I've had to learn while doing videos is to read from the teleprompter, not let my eyes get distracted, get the speed right, read ahead just enough to make sure that you're not kind of emphasizing the wrong part of the sentence. It's far more difficult. The next time you see anybody criticized for, oh, they just read from the teleprompter, not true. It's far easier just to speak off the cuff than to use a teleprompter.
I agree. When I did the DRTV news one, I found myself, when you're in a live situation, you get a little anxious and you start to read much quicker, but it wasn't going as fast as I'd like it to. So I had to figure out, how do I calm myself down in order to catch to the speed, or do I take a long enough pause that we can either, it wasn't that awkwardness.
Indeed. The thing you learn is pauses aren't bad. We have a human aversion to them, but they're not bad.
Yep. So Jeff,
right.
Let's go back to your picture here that you have set up. And I just sent you a couple of these images, and I thought it was pretty cool. This is
I like to be able to just put things together really quickly, and just sometimes this is as much to explain to myself as to anybody else, just to make sure that I fully understand what's going on. But earlier when I showed you how I'm using the Prusa slicer program to create the 3D commands to drive the printer, that's actually running on my desktop PC. I used the first copy of OBS Ninja that I launched. And we should explain actually that OBS Ninja is a website. You literally go to obs.ninja. It gives you 4 different really, really cool options for what you can do. And one of the options for OBS Ninja is the one that basically does a screen capture and generates a video stream. And it then represents that video stream as a URL that it hands you on the page. I took that URL, I went over to my laptop, I created a video, actually a browser source inside of OBS in one of my scenes. And so the video is streaming out of my PC, it's going up to obs.ninja. From there, it's coming back down into my laptop. So it's actually it's round tripping from my house and back up to wherever OBS Ninja's servers happen to be. And also feeding into OBS is my, you can see on there, I've got my hero camera, I've got my stream cam, and my stream deck. So OBS generates a local video stream. The next trick is that you need right now what's a third-party piece of open source code called Virtual Cam. The Virtual Cam creates what Windows sees as a camera inside of Windows. So what that means is that any Windows application that has a camera chooser will also see the camera created by Virtual Cam. So this is one of the most important pieces of magic. The magic that says you can generate the video stream inside your laptop, and then you can route it by using Virtual Cam into any other piece of software that wants to see a camera. Now, when John, when you invited me into our event, you sent me another URL for OBS Ninja, and I then opened that. I used the password you gave me, and I then, as the camera, I selected not a physical camera on my computer, which I could have. I selected the virtual camera created by OBS. So what I'm feeding to you, to your copy of OBS Ninja, is the video stream that I create from my copy of OBS. So that's my part. And then what do you have set up on your side?
So what I have set up on my side is I am utilizing OBS Ninja, and I dropped the playlist there into the chat. I'm actually a huge advocate for it, thanks to Jeff and Steve, who developed the actual product. I developed that playlist was how to use OBS in some unique fashion. And I found out that I can create a reusable URL or invite for Jeff and then drop them automatically into my OBS stream. Locally, I'm running 2 Safari browsers, one on my work laptop, one on my private one. And the private one's actually streaming my video. My work laptop is actually just housing the administration or the director panel, which you kind of see when you go to a group chat, it will show that one. I'll save that for next time. I actually put in some screens or some slices on that, but if you go to the playlist, you will see a lot of that kind of showing up. So all of that is dropped into my AWS workspace using a unique URL and allowing OBS Ninja or my browser to control the audio. Everything's done automatically. I figured this out a week and a half ago planning for a major event, and I'm like, I can't generate these 5 minutes before and send them out to people and expecting them to read this and then join. It just wasn't working, it wasn't efficient. So everything's being done off my Amazon workspace with all these cool graphics and studio mode and streaming and dropping some scenes and playing around a little bit. Every time I transition to a scene, you see me trying to figure and play around with what is the best possible way. And that's what I have for this event. To talk about what I have set up, I actually have 2 cameras. Well, I have 4 cameras, 2 GoPros. One of them's running here, and I'll swap out my camera here. What you see right here is my AWS underground deep racer track. I just hosted an event live, so I have GoPros all around the room there streaming it. I have a ATM Blackmagic Mini on my deck where I can switch between all my cameras and picture. I didn't set it up for this event. I was trying to mess around because I do have the GoPro up here, but I noticed some lags and I wanted to give some good quality. I'm running a mic right now. It's called a Scarlett, and that's why I was messing around with the audio quality, to see how well everybody can hear me, because what I wanted to accomplish is a wireless setup. So this wireless mic, it's not going to my laptop, it's actually going to the Scarlett, which is then transforming it there. So I can walk around the Deep Racer event and my audio is captured. And I did a bunch of tests this morning for that one. So I'm running all this locally. What you see is all local.
So within your workspace, you're running OBS in your workspace, and the obs.ninja URL that you gave me is open in your workspace. And so you're feeding to a copy of OBS in your workspace, and your workspace is then streaming to YouTube.
That's correct. My workspace is streaming to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I like to get multiple streams, but yeah, I'm doing it right from my workspace. Why am I using my workspace? Right now, my current laptop can't handle OBS. And that was actually the main issue we had in July when Jeff and I tried to do our live stream. It completely froze. We tested 1 hour or that morning before. Everything worked out great. And then I tried using my laptop again, and I had 0 quality. So I got everything set up on my workspace. There is probably a 10-second streaming delay from the workspace to live, which is actually good because I can see how the quality is, how everything's going, and I don't mind a delay a little bit. But yeah, I'm using workspace for all my stuff.
You know, one thing that I think about when we connect all these pieces together is within AWS, we talk a lot about the number of nines of availability and durability. And when you chain a bunch of stuff together, you have to multiply all those availability numbers together. And so the higher each one of them is, the more available the final thing will be. So you think about if every one of these things was 90, 99, 99.9, and so forth available, every piece of anything that we build, you got to strive for as many nines as you possibly can, so that these incredibly complex pipelines actually themselves are as highly available as possible.
I agree with you there. Speaking of redundancy, I always build in, like, I have 3 cameras up on top of my monitor. I have a headset here in case audio ever craps out, I can connect to it. So I have it built in, not having redundancy externally, but internally here I have redundancy in case something goes wrong.
Yeah. Do you have redundant internet connections?
I've got a battery backup though.
Okay.
And a generator. So I have a hotspot, which I have streamed using it for Underground Deep Racer. It was a little sketchy, but it did work.
I have actually run my workspace through my 4G phone with really good results. We mostly get awesome quality cable internet here. But there was one time a couple weeks ago, it was just a little bit high latency, and I just, out of desperation, set my phone up as a hotspot, and I was really, really impressed by the quality of how well Workspaces did across that connection.
I've used it. Workspaces, when it originally came out, it was down in Miami about to go on a cruise, and I had to access Workspaces from my iPad. Yeah. It worked beautifully. I had no problem. I didn't bring my laptop. I'm like, why do I need a work laptop? I'm going on a cruise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's entertaining. Jeff, we got a couple minutes left. I really want to tell people what you're working on for reInvent, if you can share.
So I can't share any actual details, but what I have been doing for the last week or so is that working with all the different service teams and with the AWS launch team. We have been conducting multiple 15-minute briefings per day. I think I had 9 of them yesterday, and I think I maybe had 11 of them last Friday. Every team, we get together on Chime, and they give me an overview of what it is that they're building. I kind of give me their elevator pitch plus some more details. I get to ask some questions, get a good sense of what they're up to, make some good notes. And at the conclusion of this process, we call this the speed storming process. As soon as it wraps up in another couple of days, we'll take all that and we'll make sure that all the bloggers that are writing for the AWS News blog, everybody gets to kind of pick and choose a bit and decide which things they think personally are the ones that are either the coolest or that they're going to be the best qualified to write about. And within another, let's say it's the 22nd right now, the goal is by October 1st, we should have all those assignments made, and the teams will start giving us internal access to the services so we can start to actually use them and write about them. One of the things that we always do on the blogging team is we love our service teams. We trust them a lot. We don't believe a word that they actually tell us. So we always want to get personal hands-on experience with all of these services. And that way, when we're writing about the new AWS such and such, we can say, I launched the console and I did this and I did this and I did this and this is what happened. And we can always write from that actual personal experience. And there's a lot of things you can't get from documentation. Like, you never know when you hit go or create or start. Some things take a second. Some things are worth a coffee break. Some things are worth walking the dog. You never know. So those things there's usually some internal SLA, but it's not always spec'd. So it's better just to get that experience and get an understanding.
You said walking the dog. Speaking of that, I think Luna heard that, and
I think she did actually.
She's like, "Let's go." You said it.
It turns out that mentioning hit the button and give the dog a walk, the teams will agree to that, but they won't say it can take up to 10 minutes because everybody kind of knows how long a dog walk should take, but it could take an hour. You never know. I sometimes give Luna an hour-long walk. So that way you can give a sense of a time without committing yourself to an upper bound. Because if you say takes 15 minutes and then it takes 16 minutes one time, someone's like, oh, Jeff promised it's a 15-minute thing. And why is it slow? And so, and plus it humanizes things a bit. I really think it's okay to do that.
Nice. Jeff, I got to show you something I got from the Deep Racer team here. I'm full of surprises, full of the gifts or whatever. Check out my Deep Racer socks.
Oh, wow. Those are cool. Cool. Those are really...
They have the logo on the bottom. I mean, they sent me 4 pair. One
That's a year's supply.
Well, actually, my kids use it. So for my pit crew, because my kids are my pit crew.
Yeah.
For myself and for my wife, because my wife helped me out, and my oldest daughter helped me out on an AWS ambassador one. Real quick story. I scheduled the event when the kids were not supposed to be in school, and then the kids were going to school, and I had no pit crew. I was like, I can't reschedule this event. And so what I did is I asked them to help me out, and it was a real quick event, but it was fun. So I had my wife and my oldest daughter running around for the cars.
Cool. Very, very cool. That's awesome what you've been able to do to get your family involved and get them to understand. I think the kind of jobs that we do where we're sitting at keyboards and looking at screens, it's not as obvious of like from generations ago where we would do something really physical. You know, we worked in a factory or we worked in some kind of a very tangible physical thing. And it's not clear to our children that so much of what we do is actually happening in our heads. So any way that you can convey that to them, I think that's really important.
Mine think I race around cars all day on a track. So
there are stranger careers.
They're like, you really get paid to do this? Yeah, and I have a bunch of fun doing it, and I have a blast, and the community loves it. Jeff, you've joined us for a number of underground events.
It's been fascinating to watch how well you have them organized. To watch your children. Was one of your daughter? Your daughter was Heidi, right?
Haley,
yes. And I don't remember your son's name.
Jordan,
Haley, and Jordan. They were super into it and super good at correcting the car when it went off track, but not getting in the way. They were, I think, really sensitive to doing that just right. And they were really energetic about the whole thing. And
they're experts now at doing deep racer. They come down, they know where their positions, where they're supposed to be, the timing. I rarely ever have to correct them. And I was thinking, you know, my son could be the next track boss. So
yeah, you need to get him building models and training models.
That is next. I actually just built my very first model yesterday. I had it running for 6 to 8 hours. I'm going to test it around. I'm only doing a little tweaking about it, but I want to play around with it just a little bit more. And, you know, strengthen my knowledge and be able to convey everything back to the community is really what I'm striving to do. I have the, you know, the event stuff done. Now let's get really deep down technical with them.
I actually heard that one of our customers did an internal deep racer league for the children of their employees as something to break up some of the monotony of being at home and learning from home, and to give them something new and interesting to learn.
That is very true. There is a YouTube link on it. I'm not going to share the customer's name because I'm not sure about that one, but I do have the YouTube one. It was the children's deep racer event, and they had Matchbox cars. So it was really cool how they got a chance to do some of that.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, this has been really fun.
Yeah, Jeff. So I'm going to end it now. I know we're just a little bit over, but I know you got so much going on, and you spared the time here with me. And I love getting together with you and chatting about anything and everything. Usually we come in with a loose plan, and you know the hour just goes by. I think next time we want to see that part, hopefully the 3D one.
Yeah.
I got some more streaming set up that I'm playing around with that I'd love to share. I'm working on some cool things for reInvent. So let's just see with Deep Racer. I'm trying to help them out. We're going to be doing some streaming and everything. Yes, Dennis, very true. Saw your comment on that one. Don't wear black socks. Yes, that's really. But don't wear white either, because the white thinks it's a sideline. Just a little bit there. Jeff, as always, this is fun. I can't wait to do the next one with you. I know in the next couple of months it's going to be a little difficult with all the stuff you're working on. We'll try to do something. If not, we'll save all our stuff for our next event.
Sounds awesome, John. Thanks for getting all set up, and everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Jeff, as always, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone that's joined in. Feel free to chat with me more. Shoot some messages on Twitter. You'll know I'll be streaming often, and you'll know when Jeff and I get together again. So once again, thank you. Have yourselves a good one.